Hi and welcome to Butter Movies. Maybe we've just been hanging out in the Powerverse for too long, but way more characters survived the series finale than we expected. Like, a lot more. Via an arrangement with Kane, Drew, and Diana, Tariq pretends to be rescuing Anya from their clutches. But he's really trying to get her to give up her mother's location so the Tehodders can swoop in and kill Noma. She eventually tells him about an emergency meetup spot she and Noma have. He takes her there. Just because I chose the life I live doesn't make me my father, you know? Tariq tells her as she gets out. She counters that she's not going to be like Noma, but I don't want to be like you, either. Fair. Anyway, it's moot. Before Noma and Anya can even reach each other on the stairs of the palatial safe house, Diana, who's lying in wait with her brothers, kills Anya by shooting her. Kane is incensed, because this wasn't the plan, but Diana doesn't care. Now she knows how it feels, she says. Get what you deserve. Despite their agreement, Carter wants Tariq dead. So Drew leads him to a location under the pretense that he'll be able to kill Tariq there, except Tariq and Braden are there, guns ready, with a new plan. And Drew is in on the subterfuge. They posit that Carter can pin all of his wrongdoings on Nico and get away with it, and they won't say anything, but Carter also will be in their debt. And he eventually agrees. Too bad Nico is also there, hiding in the shadows, and here's how his boss sells him out at the very first opportunity. You were my brother, we had a code, and you broke it, Nico says, his gun trained on Carter's head. Then he arrests him for Camel's murder, handcuffs him and takes him away. Kane is angry that the corrupt cop isn't dead, but Drew points out that a long prison sentence will be very unpleasant for him. Maybe we've just been hanging out in the Powerverse for too long, but way more characters survived the series finale than we expected. Like, a lot more. Via an arrangement with Kane, Drew, and Diana, Tariq pretends to be rescuing Anya from their clutches. But he's really trying to get her to give up her mother's location so the Tehodders can swoop in and kill Noma. She eventually tells him about an emergency meetup spot she and Noma have. He takes her there. Just because I chose the life I live doesn't make me my father, you know? Tariq tells her as she gets out. She counters that she's not going to be like Noma, but I don't want to be like you, either. Fair. Anyway, it's moot. Before Noma and Anya can even reach each other on the stairs of the palatial safe house, Diana, who's lying in wait with her brothers, kills Anya by shooting her. Kane is incensed, because this wasn't the plan, but Diana doesn't care. Now she knows how it feels, she says. Despite their agreement, Carter wants Tariq dead. So Drew leads him to a location under the pretense that he'll be able to kill Tariq there, except Tariq and Braden are there, guns ready, with a new plan. And Drew is in on the subterfuge. They posit that Carter can pin all of his wrongdoings on Nico and get away with it, and they won't say anything, but Carter also will be in their debt. And he eventually agrees. Too bad Nico is also there, hiding in the shadows, and here's how his boss sells him out at the very first opportunity. You were my brother, we had a code, and you broke it, Nico says, his gun trained on Carter's head. Then he arrests him for Camel's murder, handcuffs him and takes him away. Kane is angry that the corrupt cop isn't dead, but Drew points out that a long prison sentence will be very unpleasant for him. Tariq visits Tasha, explaining that their problems are solved, but he can't live with her and Yaz, or have any family, really, while he's in the game. I can't keep putting the people I love in danger, he says, and she doesn't love the idea, but she agrees with him. Then he creates a new org chart for his business. Effie runs product, Braden is in charge of the underground clubs, etc. But he and Braden are no longer partners, an arrangement that Braden doesn't agree with, but eventually accepts. The hour's final scene finds Tariq meeting with Chinedu, offering to move his product now that Noma is gone. Rick explains that Nico is now on their payroll, so the police are handled, and Davis is overseeing the cleaning of their profits. The machine is ready to go as soon as I say go, Tariq says. After that, I am basically, Chew finishes for him, the ghost. Yeah, Tariq says as the series draws to a close. A ghost. But, in a post-credit scene, we see Tariq get a call from someone, we don't know who, and Tariq remarks that he hasn't heard from the person in a minute. Whoever's on the other end of the line seems to need Rick's help, and he's happy to give it. "Come on, we're family for life," he says. "Give me the details, and I'll be there." Do we think it's Tommy? It's probably Tommy. Noma's cold and calculated nature is revealed when she confides in Anya about her actions towards her father, Francesco Lombardi, as the episode progresses. Noma's decision to cancel Christmas for her father symbolizes her larger struggle for control in her life and business dealings, not just a holiday cancellation. Noma's chilling statement, "He got in my way," encapsulates her ruthless mindset, demonstrating her willingness to sacrifice familial ties for her ambitions. Sydney Winbush portrays Anya, who becomes a confidant for Noma, but the revelation puts her in a dangerous position. Anya balances her loyalty to her friend and her moral compass, while Noma unburdens her secrets. Their worldviews further intensify the tension between them. Although Noma prioritizes power as the ultimate goal, Anya aims to balance ambition and integrity. Again, what would the ramifications of that be for Davis? And where could he go from there? We won't know because there's just no time. Why does everyone have to make a big show before killing people? With Effie there to wipe the tapes or whatever she was going to do, why didn't Tariq just shoot Carter through the confessional window and be on his way? You never give someone a chance to talk themselves out of being murdered. That's like Power 101. Of course, Carter got into Tariq's head and dropped the bomb on him, which set everything else in motion that would happen later at the wedding. I knew the Zion video would come back one way or another, but Carter has to go. And somehow, they compounded their problems by not killing him but injuring him and tying him up in some abandoned location. Everyone has been ragging on Braden this season, and I do get it, but at least he comes ready to do something. Maybe it's stupid, but he's the first to declare himself available when a war gets going. I don't know what they do with Carter now, but if he survives this season, that would be the biggest surprise in Power's history. I'm exaggerating, but he simply can't live, and we lose others. I won't allow it. You know who else has got to go? Noma. I've actually had enough of her, and everything that's happened falls on her shoulders. I hope Kane and the Tejodas bring hell down upon her. Why in the world she thought Kane would ever choose her over Monet is beyond me, and going through all the trouble she went through for that messiest end result was incredibly dumb. I would say that getting in a shootout during your very fake wedding that you need to help keep your business afloat would be her demise, but she won't make it out of this series alive. Tariq has enough information from Anya to know how Noma will move next, and the Tejodas will take it from there. Noma getting the pleasure of killing Monet, even if she can only revel in it for a little while, shouldn't upset me, but it does. Noma finally got her revenge for Mecca and everything else, and it sucks. When you think about it, the Monet and Kane dynamic, more so than Monet with Drew or Diana and the siblings with each other, was always at the core of the family. So, it being on full display in those closing minutes was fitting and heartbreaking all at once. But the lead up to that moment only came about because Noma and Carter got a little too cutesy with their plans to remove the thorns in their sides. Sending Monet and Tariq to Staten Island so Vadim could kill them was a clever idea, but it should have been something no one else knew. Why did the random men who gave Drew the money know about Tariq going there? What are we doing here, Carter? I thought this was a serious operation. Monet mentioning to Janet in passing that she was going to Staten Island was obviously the biggest blessing in disguise, as was Diana and Drew conveniently being in the right place to overhear Effie and receive the information. But it's Power. None of these people would still be alive if luck weren't on their side now and then. Drew and Diana have turned themselves into solid soldiers. We've seen from Drew all season that he's more than prepared and ready to get his hands dirty and step up, but Diana has also shown that she's brave. The conversation between the two in between body shots and lap dances was too short, but both needed to just let themselves be honest about how they were feeling. Drew has embraced the side of himself that Lorenzo always saw. And Diana? Well, Diana is confused, and she's trying to make sense of her life and what she wants. That's normal coming off a loss and what she did, but it's not easy to put a voice to that. These stories will be wrapped up so soon, and it sucks because they're in the hospital as she discovers that Felicia's brutal attack on her resulted in the death of Tariq and Diana's baby. Though he initially sought revenge from her, Tariq decided against it, but Diana went through with it and eventually kills Felicia. Her dead body is discovered by Detective Cater after he rushed to Felicia's home in hopes of saving her. Carter walks into the house to see Diana, Tariq, and Monet, where it comes close to killing them all. Thankfully for them, Drew's decision to help Carter after his release from prison is what saved Diana, Tariq, and Monet's. As for what happens next, well, that will be on display in episode 8. Here's what you need to know about it. Tariq and Monet try to leverage a way to get out from under Carter by making a play to Noma. Positioned on opposite sides, Kane and Drew compete for the streets. An incident with Braden's relationship with Il sends him off the deep end as he goes from puppy to pitbull. On this week's Power Book 2, Ghost, we learn that Kane and Noma are getting married. What is that registry going to look like? Noma's tap dance to secure a government contract without getting caught by the feds is second only to Carter's fancy footwork as he tries to convince Nico that Felicia died in a car crash and not in a heinous beatdown in her own kitchen. How long, do you think, before this all blows up in his face? Oh, and a Sopranos alum shows up as Effie's mom. Carter tells his team that Felicia died in a car crash, but Nico doesn't believe him. What the F.K. really happened, he whispers once he has Carter cornered at the precinct. Power Book 2, Ghost Season 4 has not been as strong as prior seasons, and that's not a controversial opinion. There have been some stronger hours, or at least ones that were entertaining, but if you had to grade the overall season up to this point, anywhere from a C- to a B- sounds about right. But this hour? This one? This was easily the best hour of the season and one of the best ones of the entire season. Now, what do all solid episodes of Power Ghost have in common? They typically follow the Power model, a solid mix of humor, drama, action, and plot lines that may have felt all over the place but intersected dynamically. That's precisely what happened here, as the lead up to Noma and Kane's sham wedding featured a plethora of surprises and a hell of an ending. Noma and Kane's domestic partnership was always born out of need, as the two have gotten further away from romance. Noma needed an American husband, and Kane needed the connections Noma could give him. And just like that, a mutually beneficial partnership was born. Teaming up with Carter was a way for Noma to take back some control, and for Carter, it was surely a payday and a way to get rid of his problems. Noma's plan didn't fully compute with me at first because she seemed so hell-bent on making sure everything was perfect, insisting that Monet come to the rehearsal dinner, even when things started to spiral out of control. But it was ingenious because she knew how Monet would react and behave. She knew that Monet would not come in happy and supportive of her son's marriage, which would later give her a reason to play pretend with Kane and use her past actions as the reason she didn't attend the wedding. Kane would think Monet truly didn't support him and his actions, while instead, she was dead somewhere on Staten Island. But Noma overplayed her hand, as we'll get to. She also had no idea what the bond between the Tejodas was because she'd only ever seen it from the perspective of them trying to take one another down. Diana Tejoda's rage against Anya Covington brings the tension to a boil during the intense Season 4 finale of Power Book 2, Ghost. After Diana's mother, Monet Tejoda, is killed by Noma Asadu in Episode 9, she becomes determined to get revenge, which leads to an exciting battle full of drama and emotionally charged acting. Diana Tejoda, portrayed by talented Latoya Tenodio, has undergone a remarkable transformation throughout the series. Diana was once a college student caught between her family's criminal legacy and her aspirations. Still, she has fully embraced her role in the dangerous world of her family's empire. Diana's avenging of her mother's death is depicted in Episode 10 as she takes matters into her own hands. Diana's character arc reaches a crucial moment as she channels her grief into determination. Confronting Anya is not only an act of violence, it's also a declaration of her newfound strength and resolve. Diana is a woman driven by love, loyalty, and retribution and is determined to settle the score for her mother's demise. Sydney Winbush plays Diana and Anya Covington, who have been in tension for the entire season. Diana's wrath is directed towards Anya due to her close relationship with Noma and her involvement in Monet's death. The showdown is not just personal, it symbolizes the larger power struggle within the series. Diana and Anya's tense and emotional face-off leaves viewers on the edge of their seats. The choreography of the encounter conveys the pent-up anger and desperation both women experience. Diana's determination is underestimated by Anya, who is confident in her alliance with Noma. This results in a shocking and brutal outcome that shows how Diana has grown from a sheltered young woman to a fierce player in her family's game. In order to do that, Diana can't compromise for the sake of Tariq. If Tariq can't make the necessary sacrifices in order to create a safe life for their child, then there's no point in Diana trying to make things work. We saw how things ended with Ghost as well as with Lorenzo and Dante Emeka. Diana doesn't have to be the next to experience it. The moment we knew would come finally arrived for Tariq in Power Book 2, Ghost Season 4, Episode 5 titled Ego Death. Actually, it was two moments. The first is Noma finally caught onto Tariq and Braden's underground drug operation through college parties. She discovered it after finding a bag of coke in her daughter Anya's bag after the same bag of coke was brought to her and said to have come from Stansfield. Noma walks into the next college party with Kane to see the operation live in action, and though their plan is to kill Tariq, they're forced to put a stop to it after Tariq uses Anya as a distraction. The second moment is Tariq finally accepting that he is no different from his father. After a string of events that knocked him off his path, Tariq realizes that he needs to use his dad's qualities to become an apex predator to stand at the top of the drug game and ensure the safety of himself and loved ones. Despite this realization, Tariq still doesn't fully see how similar he is to Ghost. Just like his father, Tariq is quite inconsiderate to the needs of loved ones around him, and he can't seem to prioritize their issues as he does his own. When Braden voices his issues during an argument with Tariq, they get brushed aside as Tariq tells him to take this *T on the chin like I do every day. Later on, Tariq expects Diana to be okay with him being deep in the drug game as they raise their child, as opposed to pretending to be out of it like Ghost did. In each case, Tariq put his needs and desires above Braden's and Diana's without considering Monet nearly lost two more children in episode 4 of Ghost as both Kane and Tariq were in pursuit of Drew and Diana, respectively, in retaliation for trying to kill Monet and set up Tasha for a death of her own. When Monet learned of Diana's pregnancy, she immediately called off Kane moments before he would have killed Drew, and she also convinced Tariq not to do the same to Diana. Now, it's time to put the family back together, but Monet wants to do it the easy way. The drug game is what tore her family apart, but now, Monet is hoping that it can bring her family back together. Realistically, that is the easy route towards rebuilding the family. Effie's mother, played by the sopranos Drea de Matteo, ambushes her on the Stansfield campus, calls her Josie, and announces that her husband has left her for some young bimbo that works at the car company. She says she's broke and is wondering if Effie can float her some money. "The man that molested me left you," Effie says flatly. "Sounds like a King you problem." Her mom continues to gush about how proud she is of Effie, but it doesn't land. "If you were on fire," Effie says, "I wouldn't piss on you to put you out." She says some more in the same gist, which causes her mom to drop the nice act. There she is, cold-hearted Josefina, she says, "You're a real bitch. How is anyone ever gonna love you?" Effie delivers the fake social media history to Kane for approval, but all he wants to talk about is how she has the wrong idea about him and Noma. She laments that she's always had to take care of herself, to which he replies, "I've got you." Braden moves out of Tariq's place, saying he's going to move in with Elle, because